We have an extraordinarily special guest with us today. His name is Andrew Kap. And Andrew Kap is the author of the book, The Last Law of Attraction book that you'll ever need to read. And for those who don't know Andrew, just to give you a little bit of background, Andrew holds one goal above all others through his various projects: genuine and sustainable impact. His latest offering, The Last Law of Attraction book that you'll ever need to read, offers readers a never-before-seen understanding of the topic that no other law of attraction book has ever been able to do. And I can attest to that. I've read many of those books. By going the extra mile of finally addressing why people who get excited about trying it still can't manage to get in the habit of using these methods for just 5 minutes a day. This book has enjoyed continued success, including over 1,500 five-star reviews on Amazon, which is the way that I found it. It's a #1 bestseller status in multiple categories on Amazon, and a growing YouTube channel devoted to it from Mr. Andrew Kap himself. So, Andrew, it is a pleasure to have you here, and I mean that 5,000%. Thank you for taking the time to be here today.
Brandon, thanks so much for having me, and thank you for that enthusiastic intro. Now I've got to live up to the hype, so challenge accepted. Looking forward to where we take this conversation.
Me too. And I talk about the law of attraction a lot, and I talk about how it's changed my life, which we can get into here in a few minutes. And I thought your book was really special for a lot of different reasons that I'll talk about with you here. But I know there's probably a few people listening or who are going to listen to this who are wondering, what is the law of attraction? So if you had to give us like a 1-minute snippet, what is the law of attraction in your own words?
Yeah, so law of attraction is based on the premise that everything is energy. And when I say everything, I mean everything. I mean you, me, I mean that microphone in front of you, and I also mean our thoughts. And energy vibrates at a certain frequency, and like frequencies attract like frequencies, meaning from the standpoint of our knowledge of this, you can be very intentional with your thoughts to attract experiences, attract outcomes, attract results, or attract what I call manifestations into your life. So, real quick though, with that in mind, sometimes people say, well, that's nice and everything, but I think about what I want and it doesn't come. And I ask them, well, are you thinking about it with frustration, uncertainty, doubt, impatience? Because if you're doing that, you're actually thinking about the lack of it and putting out that energy without realizing it. Whereas you want to think about something with confidence, enthusiasm, and gratitude, and then watch what happens after that.
That's amazing. The first introduction I had to the law of attraction was when I read Rhonda Byrne's book, The Secret. Mm-hmm. And I read it during a really tough time in my life. I was overweight. I was heavily in debt. I had a lot of negative thoughts. I attracted people who reflected those negative thoughts into my life. And I was actually talking to a buddy of mine, and this is how I found you, Andrew. I was talking to a buddy of mine about glitches in the universe, and we just got talking about like the Matrix, and we started talking about blue pill, red pill. And my buddy was like, well, what if there was like a glitch that you could use to get anything that you wanted? And I was like, well, you've heard of the law of attraction. And he said, well, yeah, I've heard of the law of attraction. And he's like, how is that like this? And I was like, well, it's kind of something that you tap into. It's an always going thing that you can tap into and use in order to bring whatever it is you want into your life. And talking to him made me think, it's been a while since I've read a book about the law of attraction. So I went on Amazon, I typed in law of attraction, and your book was the first one that came up. It was actually a sponsored post. And the title is what got me to buy it. The Last Law of Attraction book you'll ever need to read. So I got the book. I read the book, and I posted an Instagram story tagging you with the book. And number one, I've never had an author reach back out to me. But as soon as I posted an Instagram story with this book, Andrew literally sent me a message, guys. And he's like, hey, thanks so much for reading the book. And I was like, so cool. And I thought to myself, what if one day Andrew was actually on the show? Like, what if this guy came in here and like changed everyone's lives who was listening? And within a few weeks, that was a reality when I posted that I was looking for guests, and you reached out to me again. And I was thinking, this is just an ultimate example of how the law of attraction works in our life. But I'm sure you know, and I'm sure you've heard, there's a lot of people who say, oh, it's just motivation. How could the law of attraction be true? Is it real? Is it actually working? How do I know? So let me ask you, for those people who just say it's motivation, for those people who don't believe in the law of attraction, even if you don't believe in it and what it does it still work for those people?
Yeah. So the way I love explaining things in physical, tangible, real examples, just because it always cooks with our minds. So whenever someone has a little bit of doubt, I kind of give the example of lifting weights to get muscles, because we all understand that. It's oversimplified, but we get it. So I'll give you two possible explanations as to how that works. Explanation number one is you lift weights and you go to sleep that night and the muscle fairy comes, waves a magic wand, and boom, you've got muscles. Explanation number two is when you're working out, you're actually putting so much stress on your body that your muscles are tearing. They're tearing in little areas, and then your body responds by healing itself by filling in those gaps with more muscle fiber, hence more muscles. Now, that's a bit of a butchered explanation, but I'm pretty confident that if I ask someone, they'd say, well, Andrew, that's the one. To which I answer, unless you're a personal trainer and it's your job to actually explain this thing, it doesn't matter which one it is. What matters is you lift weights, you get muscles. You put in X, you get Y. And by that same token, whether you believe in this or not, if you engage in gratitude exercises or visualization exercises, by hook or by crook, you will get results. And I'll tell you this, if you do that and you get results, don't give me credit. Don't give my book credit. Don't give the universe or the law of attraction credit, but at least notice it for yourself, because when you notice it, you're at a point of agency where you can continue this. And P.S., if I'm lying or deluded, just feeling gratitude, physiologically speaking, gives you benefits, because studies have shown it increases confidence, it reduces anxiety, it improves sleep. So no matter what, you get a win. The only question is, how big is your win going to be?
Very interesting. So a little bit about what you're saying is you don't need to know exactly how something works in order to take advantage of it and use it.
Right. You only need to be enthusiastic. Like, what if someone says, I don't believe lifting weights works? Well, do it long enough and then come back to me. And it's all about, do you have the enthusiasm to just try it for long enough with enough consistency to get a result? That's all it really comes down to.
That's great. Yeah, we just moved into a new home and we have a gas oven now, when before it was electric. And we turned on the gas oven and obviously we smelled the gas and we're thinking to ourselves, like, how is this thing working? And I asked my wife, I was like, do we have to like refill the gas in this oven? And she looked at me and she's like, well, someone told me it was natural gas that it uses. And I was like, what does that mean? And she's like, I don't know. I think it like takes the air and turns it into gas. And I was like, how incredible is this that we're literally just tapping into these things all around us on a daily basis that we don't understand how it works, but it just does work.
You mentioned The Secret, and I think you read the book. I saw the DVD when it came out. And Bob Proctor's like, we don't understand how electricity works. We plug something in, we flip the switch, and all right, explain it. One way or another, it works.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, for those people out there who maybe have read your book, or they've read another book, or they've read The Secret 20 years ago and they tried it and it didn't work for them. And there's people out there now maybe who are trying it and they're using the techniques, they're doing the gratitude stacking, they're doing the gratitude steps, or all these different things, but it's just not working for them. Mm-hmm. What would you recommend that somebody do who finds themselves in the situation where they're practicing it, but it's not getting the result that they want?
Yeah, so I'm going to give probably the least expected and simultaneously most frustrating answer ever, but there actually is a light at the end of the tunnel. The reason it's not working is because you're doing the methods to get the results. To which most people say, what? Isn't that the whole point? Isn't the point that I do these methods? Didn't you just say that, Andrew? Didn't you just say you lift weights, you get muscles? What are you talking about here? Well, here's the problem. When you are doing the methods to get the results, you're actually doing it from a standpoint and a vibration and an awareness of the lack of what you're having. You're putting out the energy of the lack and you're reinforcing the lack. So if you're like gritting your teeth and trying that visualization, trying to feel gratitude, trying to pull that thing in, it's with the awareness that it's not there. So you're fighting against yourself. What you should be doing, and this is the subtle distinction that makes all the difference, is you want to do the methods for the sake of enjoying the methods. And then indirectly, in an ironic twist of fate, then you'll get what you want, because only at that point are you putting out the vibration of happiness, the vibration of gratitude, the vibration of abundance. So the reason I call it the last law of attraction book you'll ever need to read, and the reason I have this philosophy, is whether you read my book or someone else's, all it matters is that you feel good while thinking about what you have or what you want, or both. If you could accomplish that, actually feeling good, everything else takes care of itself. And we might be skipping around here, but people say, well, isn't action required? Well, inspired action is. If you're taking action out of lack, you're doing the exact same thing of that focus of the lack of what you have. But if you sit on your couch and, excuse me, a week later, you get a good idea and like, okay, that's good. Well, that's inspired action. and then you're following through on inspiration and taking a good idea and you're making something out of it. But really comes down to the beginning foundation. Feel good while thinking about what you have or what you want or both. Everything else goes from there.
What would you recommend to somebody who is doing the exercises? They really do believe that this law exists, but they're doing them and they feel that they're coming from that place of lack. They feel that they're not getting what they want. They feel that they are thinking about what they want as if they don't have it. Like, how can someone transition from that place to a place of where they truly can enjoy the techniques? Because I know some people are listening are like, 30 grand in debt. They're 60 pounds heavier. They're sitting there and they're like, everything I've tried isn't working. How is this gratitude ritual going to help me? Like, how can someone go from that place of lack to a place of truly enjoying it in order to get the results?
So we'll take the 30 grand in debt example. Can you actually get out of your own head and appreciate money from that place? Maybe yes, maybe no. It depends on your personality. It depends on your mindset. It depends on your perspective. However, you don't need to feel good about money in order to get money. You just need to feel good. The universe has heard you screaming and kicking and digging your nails in and digging your heels in for decades. It knows that you want money. That's cool. All right. Well, if thinking about money, it's impossible to feel good about that right now. Feel good about something else. You could have a gratitude session every single day about all the moments in which you enjoyed your childhood or your best friend or someone doing a favor for you. And that will attract the money. You could also, by the way, think about like, I did a video on my YouTube where I said you're a money magnet. I tell people, like, listen, when you were a kid, did you pay for any of your meals? Did you pay rent? Did you pay for your clothes? That's all money coming to you. That's abundance coming to you. So it's all about a perspective. If you could find other ways of seeing abundance, cool. But if not, you could have gratitude for anything. And you put your attention there, and feeling good will put out the energy. And then you'll notice things happen financially also.
Okay, so I love that. And let's take that to the actual exercise itself. And we're going to get to like how someone can start doing this. But I've been following, I do a couple things. I do a lot of scripting, which you talk about in the book, which is for those who are listening. It's writing about something that you want, even if you don't have it yet. And you write about it as if you do have it. And you write about the magnificent experience that it is now that you do have it, even if you don't physically have it. If that doesn't make a lot of sense, grab the book, check it out.
And I'll just give a slight phrasing tweak. And excuse my coughing. I talked so much yesterday, but I'm so excited to be here. So I'm like, no, I'm doing this. So another way of saying journaling is you're basically journaling about your life as if you're already living your dream life. And that's a good way to think of it. It's like, okay, what's my dream life? Okay, I'm journaling about the love of my life. I'm journaling about the career and the house and waking up gratitude every day. I'm journaling about how fulfilled I am in my life. I'm journaling about how great the world is around me. It's my dream life. I'm doing it in the present tense. That's another good way to describe it for people.
I love that explanation. And I do a lot of scripting and I do a lot of the gratitude stacking. You know, I'm so happy and grateful for, I'm happy and grateful now that. And what you're saying is if someone wanted to attract a specific weight goal, if someone wanted to attract a specific relationship, you don't need to write specifically about that. You can write about other things, yet still attract that same result. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. And going a little bit deeper, because the thing about it is you can be as, and I'm not going to take credit for this. I think I got this from Abraham. You can be as specific or as general as you want in whatever you're doing. Like even like, so for me, like a weight goal, and I guess we'll probably talk about this if there's time, like what I went through and that kind of woke me up to all this. But there was a point where I was really hitting my stride where I lost 25 pounds in 7.5 weeks without trying to lose 25 pounds. Now, if I had begun that saying like, I'm going to lose 25 pounds in 7.5 weeks, for my personality, that deadline would have put pressure and resistance. Other people might respond differently, but I have a self-awareness that deadlines are no good for me. So that level of specificity would not have worked for me. But not that I needed this, but the level of specificity of like, I'm just getting healthier and healthier every day. I'm inviting my body to improve in whichever way it wants. I appreciate my body's resiliency and its ability to regenerate, its ability for renewal. For me, that's the kind of level of temperature that works for me, where I would invite something like that in.
Would you recommend writing more about the things that you already have, or would you recommend writing more about the things that you don't have yet, as if you already do have them, or a mix?
I recommend mixing them and not worrying about which one is more than the other. Like you remember the book in the time lapse method, you're where you write 15 things, 5 past, 5 present, and 5 future that you're grateful for. Obviously, the future, that's a third. So not that you have to stick to that ratio. You can do whatever you want. But in that specific method, 2/3 of that list is something that you're grateful for that's either already occurred or is occurring. And 1/3 is going to happen, so that you kind of like mixing in the feelings. But the beauty of this, Brandon, is there's no wrong or right way to do it. Well, the right way is you feel good, meaning it could be all in the future. It could be all in the present. It could be a mix. You could do whatever you want as long as you feel good in some way, shape, or form. You're putting yourself in the state because, again, you've already thought countless times about what you want, and the universe has already heard you. And now the only thing is just about getting out of your own way. And the only thing that you need to do to get out of your own way is to feel good. And by the way, 5 minutes a day, because things happen. Maybe you're going to take 5 minutes and feel gratitude and awesome. And then an hour later, someone's going to upset you. You didn't waste that time. You've already put in the investment there. And positive thoughts are so much more powerful than negative. So the next day you do another 5 minutes and someone else upsets you, but it's less. Or maybe a month later. So like, a year later, something bad will happen, but your baseline is different. And so you're inviting so many more good things in. So when bad things happen, it doesn't make you fall to pieces like it used to.
I love that. Excellent explanation. That helps personally a lot. So I hope it helps a lot of people listening too. I discovered the law of attraction in my early 20s, and I had no idea what it was. It was an introduction for me into the world of personal development. And by using the principles that I learned, I was able to transform the way that I thought, transform my mindset. I was able to eliminate tons of debt from my life. I was able to weigh the amount that I wanted to. I was able to attract my wife into my life, all these incredible things. And it came from a lot of work. It took work, but it also took thinking about things in a different way. And it took finding mentors to help me get there. And it only took about 6 months to a year for me to make all of those different changes. So no matter where you are right now, you can be in a completely different place a lot quicker than you might think. Yes. And reading this book, I thought to myself, in order to have these insights, it came from someone who also went through hardships and challenges. Otherwise, you wouldn't have these specific insights that you have. So I'm really curious, because you didn't tell the story in the book. What is your own personal story with the law of attraction that inspired you to even create this book?
Yeah. So it was very interesting stylistic change, decision not to put it in the book. I figured I almost challenged myself, like, can I get this message without telling people my personal story? But it's no big secret. So I learned about the law of attraction in 2004. And I was just a struggling entrepreneur trying to make things happen. I think a lot of entrepreneurs can relate. I mean, anyone can relate, but a lot of entrepreneurs and salespeople can relate in that when you have to kill your own dinner, where you can't afford to have a bad week because that money's got to come in, a lot of people find their way leaning towards positive modalities, positive mindset, things like that. So for me, law of attraction was just like one of many that I was exploring, trying to get this sorted out for myself. And it kind of made sense, but it was also inconsistent. I had my successes and failures. I'd find out a few years later, I was the one who was inconsistent, but that's the rest of the story, because 2008 rolls around, and that business is teetering. It's kind of like the death knells, and I finally just give up on it. And 3 days later, my girlfriend of 3 years breaks up over text, and she was already upset just because I was putting so much time and energy into that. So it was like a no-win situation no matter where I went. But like, there I was, I wake up Monday, I've got a business and a girlfriend. I wake up Friday and none of them are there. So it's like, it felt like 90% of my life is done. So I'm like, all right, well, what's going on? Like, I got to do something. Something's going on here. And I kind of got like a little stubborn, indignant, while simultaneously remembering that this law of attraction thing worked when I actually worked it, because it was a thing where in the past I would do it, I'd start to get results, and then like an idiot, I would stop. I didn't even know why. I figured out why later. So I'm like, listen, after what I've just been through, and I've wasted my 20s and everything's gone, I don't care what happens, when it happens, why it happens, how it happens. I don't care about any of that. I'm just going to go all in with this once and for all. And all in for me, it wasn't all day, every day, because I understood that no matter how upset I was going to burn out. But all in could be 5 or 10 minutes a day of those gratitude methods, or the visualization, or the scripting, or even my new versions of them that help me stay consistent every single day. And I made this, I guess this vow internally, even when things start getting better, I'm not stopping. If things get worse, I'm not stopping. No matter what happens, I am doing this 5 minutes every single day. That was like, because again, I was just so upset and so motivated that it shouldn't take that, and it doesn't take that. But for me, it took that. And the results that I experienced were similar to yours. It didn't take a year. It took six months. Like 2 weeks later, I felt better, which is saying a lot with a broken heart, obviously. 3 months later, I'm in a brand new, way better, way healthier relationship with someone who understood me a lot more. And really, you know, it was just a better match. 4 months later, I was making more money than at any point in my life before then. Wow. And 6 months later, everything had changed. I'm in the best shape of my life. You know, I'd lost those 25 pounds without trying. I'm waking up happy and fulfilled. Everything's working. And I learned the hard way that this actually works if you actually work it, whether it's the law of attraction or it's something else. I mean, to me, the law of attraction makes sense, but if it's something else, I don't care. All I care about is that it worked. And ever since that moment, I always like had this new awareness that I didn't get it from a guru. I didn't get it from another book. I didn't get it from a video. I got it from my life experience. And that's what I try to give people through this book. I try to get them out of their own way long enough that they get their own life experience of it, and then they're forever changed.
So during that time when you lost that relationship, you lost your business, and you decided to go all in on this, even just every day, 5 minutes, how did you sit down each day and follow these exercises and not believe that what you were doing was artificial? How did you make it real to you, especially during that time of pain?
So to me, I was so upset that I didn't care if it was real or not, because I'd already been through this experimentation process of doing it for 4 years and it working whenever I did it. So I already knew that I just had to stay in the zone of feeling good on any level. I intentionally took the pressure off entirely. That's why I told you I had that attitude of I don't care what happens or when it happens or why it happens. I didn't care. My whole commitment was to feel even a little good. Even because you know, I talk about this in the book. There's traps where sometimes you'll do this for the first time and you'll feel wonderful. And then the next day you'll put this pressure on yourself to try to feel just as good, and it won't work. You're like, what's happening? Well, it's because, listen, it's like, you know, it's like getting a fresh drink of water after 24 hours, and then you get another drink of water an hour later. It's not going to replicate it, but you still need that water. It's still healthy. So for me, I mean, my long-winded answer of this is I didn't worry about that stuff. I didn't worry what was real or fake. I just worried about what can I strategically think about that would actually feel good. And no matter where you are in your life, you could be grateful for that heart beating in your chest that's been beating every single second of every single day of every week, of every month, of every year, of every decade in your entire life, pumping it, you know, tirelessly, giving nutrients to the rest of your body, which is also in service to you. I could be grateful every single day for my best friends, for all the people that have done me favors, for all the times I had a lucky turn, for my first kiss, my first crush. You know, I had fun in high school. I had fun in college. Like all these things, no matter what's going on, I can lean on the past. And then when stuff starts to happen in the present, I can lean on the present. And at the same time, I can mix in the future and feel good. So I know it's a long-winded answer, but I didn't worry too much. I just strategically picked things that I felt good about no matter what.
Let's take that and let's, first of all, before we move to the next thing, which is about feeling good and how people can feel good even when they're not doing the gratitude ritual, because that seems like a very common thread in what you're talking about. First, congratulations on everything that you've been able to do in your life, and congrats on going through that turning point, even through immense pain, and creating what you've created, which is now helping thousands of people to follow these same principles and transform their life. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
That's amazing. What would you recommend to somebody who is new to the law of attraction, or somebody who already knows about it, who is now listening and they're like, okay, I'm going to go all in on this to transform my life, or even to just change a few things? What's the first thing that they can do other than read your book? Right.
Well, I'd say this, whether it's my book or anyone else's book, I mean, find methods, because we all like variety and we like different things. So one method might be better than others, but I guess an easy starting point, one of my favorite methods that anyone can do anywhere, is gratitude blitz. And all you're doing is you're going to sit down and you're going to spend 30 seconds or 90 seconds or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever you want, whatever comes to a point where you're not getting bored or impatient or restless. And you just, you think of things that you're grateful for. So, and you could theme it, by the way. You could do the theme around your body. You could do a theme around your job. You could do a theme around your relationships. You could look around whatever room you're in and just do that theme, or you can go have a free for all. But just take a little bit of time and just try to think of things that you're grateful for. And it's one of those things where, not that you should put this requirement or this expectation, but 30 seconds in, you're like, meh. 90 seconds in, because it's starting to pile up, like, okay, I've got a lot in my life. This feels better. 3 minutes, you're like, wow, this is awesome. And 7 minutes, even if you're on cloud nine, you're starting to get bored. It's okay. You've done your job. You did your job 30 seconds in. So who cares? And also real quick, just, to answer people like, what if they have trouble feeling grateful for things? Well, imagine that someone took that thing away from you. Like, if you can't be grateful for your device right now that you're listening to, whether it's a computer or phone, imagine someone try to take it from you and they say, the only way you can have this back is you have to articulate or verbalize to me why this is important or why you need this. And then you're like, well, I use it for me, email. I use it for my business. It's dating apps. So it's how I'm going to find love. It's investments. That's how I'm going to fix my money. It's how I stay, in touch with my friends. Oh my God, my whole life is on this thing. Please don't take it. Oh my God, I love this thing. I'm so grateful for this device. So same thing with your body parts. I mean, how could you not be grateful for your hands and feet? Oh my God. Like, if you ever stubbed your toe and then you're out of commission the whole day and everything's like, you got to worry about your toe. You ever bite your tongue, your cheek, and then eating is horrible. Chipping a tooth, we have so much trouble. We take things for granted until then, like, something happens. Anyone that's broken their leg, oh my God, they know what it's like to struggle through that. Like, how are your legs not a gift? So there's always a way to feel grateful for something, whether it's part of you or it's outside of you, but it's always there.
It's like when you have a stuffy nose when you're sick and you're like, I can't breathe. And when you're in that moment, you're like, oh my God, next time I can breathe, I'm going to be absolutely grateful for my ability to breathe. And then you can finally breathe again. And you forget to go to that feeling of gratitude. We often forget to be grateful for something until we see somebody who doesn't have that thing, whether it be, a body part, a relationship, whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. What if we could just slow down and be grateful for things now? Yes. Imagine how much more we could manifest. And from what you're saying, it sounds a lot like whether you do these exercises, whether you don't do them, whether you do them for 30 seconds, whether you do them for 30 minutes, the common theme here is if you want to activate this law and use it in your favor, because it's always activated. If you want to tap into it, though, feeling good seems to be the common theme here.
It's right? The only way I've ever seen work. Maybe there's other ways, but it's the only way that I've seen work. So since it's the only way I've seen, that's the thread that I'm going to follow. And quick little add-on to what we were just talking about, nice little reframe. Because, like, imagine this. Imagine someone said, if you want to live in the next 24 hours, you got to be grateful for everything that you have in your life. Imagine the pressure, like, oh my God, I have to feel grateful for everything that's good. The fact that you're overwhelmed tells you how much you have in your life that you don't even think about. You are surrounded by abundance, and that feels good. And like you said, feeling good is a good thing. Like I said, feeling good is a good thing. Let's follow that thread. Let's stick with it.
What can someone do in order to feel good more of the day, even when they're not doing the gratitude rituals?
So for me, well, there's two pieces. One, when you do this every single day, you will be automatically predisposed to feeling good. It'll just happen naturally. But for someone that wants to take the wheel, one method in my book, I call it the discount trigger method. It's more of like a response to negativity. But to say it real quick, it's based on this story where this entrepreneur was an honest guy and he sold this product and people were unhappy with it and they demanded a refund. And he felt so bad that they had a negative experience that not only did he refund their money, but he gave them a discount on something even more expensive, which many of them bought, which many of them didn't return. So he actually made more money when people wanted the refund on the first thing. So I call it the discount trigger method. So it's like, basically he took a negative as his cue to do something positive. So like, if you've got your boss yelling at you every single day, have an intention of like, I'm going to think of something really that really fills me up every time that happens. Every time my boss yells at me, I'm going to take the yelling if I really want to. That's up to you. And then I'm going to excuse myself, and then I'm going to think about that boyfriend or that girlfriend or that husband or that wife or that person that's always at my corner. That I feel so good now. And it's like a thing where that'll happen more and more, and it'll be like an excuse. So by that same token, you can pick predictable things in the day, like okay, for my commute, if I'm sitting on the bus, rather than checking my social media, I'm going to look around me and tell stories about how these people around me, how we're going to be millionaires in a year from now or whatever. So it's like come up with fun reasons, fun little cues or fun little indicators that are just excuses for you to take a step back and feel good about something. And pre-prepare. Think about your favorite song. Like, have a moment in time or a set of things that you can default to, that you can always turn to, that always feel good if you don't want to always be fishing for the next thing.
That's incredible. And I'm going to start doing that myself, because I'll tell you, before I read your book, I had stopped doing the journaling and the gratitude ritual every single day. It was more of a when I felt like it kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I sat down, and sometimes it's literally 5 minutes, and sometimes I write down 4 things. Sometimes I take 20 minutes and sit down and do it. But it's been a few weeks now since I tagged you in that Instagram story and started doing this. And what's incredible is immediately I saw results. And immediately I would write about a certain amount of money, and I would get a bonus that day, or I'd have an incredible day at work, which I'm in sales. And I think the biggest part for me was awareness of these things actually happening for me, the law working for me, awareness of, wow, did that happen because I wrote about it this morning? Wow, did I see this because I attuned my brain to look for it? It's like when I first started doing this, and I was into this for months at a time, and amazing things were happening in my life, but just life got in the way and I stopped doing it. But the more you look for things to be grateful for, the more you write down things you are grateful for, the more you find things around you. Like, I was driving with a few friends a couple months ago, and it was the sun, and the sun over the trees. And I was like, wow, look at that. And they looked at it and they're like, yeah, it's cool. And I felt like a hippie. I was like, what do you mean? Yeah, it's cool. I'm like, look how cool that looks, man. I'm like, that sun moves without you having to think about it. That sun does what it does every single day, just like your heart beats without you having to think about it. Like you mentioned, like, you start to find more and more things, and it just becomes a feedback loop of gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. You start to feel grateful for things that you never felt grateful for before.
Yeah, it's like a muscle that you work out. But the cool thing is, and I mean, I like to be in shape when I can, but working out's pain. This isn't pain. It's like, imagine you have the gift of working out a muscle and it doesn't hurt when it's recovering. How cool is that? Absolutely.
So cool. So cool. I could talk to you for hours, Andrew. And
I can talk to you for hours, man. You can see, man, I talk till like I'm like hoarse, because like I love talking about this stuff. So I'm totally with you.
I want to ask you a few more things very quickly.
Yeah, man.
What are you most grateful for in your life right now?
So I'll tell you something. I'll give you like a long-winded lead up into this, because I'm very, not that it takes an observant person, but I'm a very observant person in the sense that I noticed that you like to journal. That's like kind of like your style. I'm not. I don't like to write that much or type. So I often speak. So my daily thing, just in case people are worrying, I might be stealing one of your future questions, but the thing I do every single day is I pull out my phone and I hit the record button on my recorder app, and I say all the things I'm grateful for. And I send that message to a friend across the country, and he does the same thing for me. And we've installed a light social pressure, because we don't want to let the other person down, but it's just a fun, easy way for me to do this every single day, that I'm feeling gratitude, which, by the way, we're in our 4th year of doing this. So he's been there since the beginning. He was there when I didn't write the book yet. And he was there when I was talking about the 5-star rave reviews and selling, 50,000 copies and then moving from there. Like, so all these things are tangible now, but back when I was saying it there, it's like, it was creating it. So I lead that in where I can say, like, every single day, it sounds cliche, but I have to be real. I'm grateful most for the book and the readers, because it's almost like, I think the most selfless thing you can do is selfishly be selfless. Meaning, I'd happily be a billionaire, but I don't want to be a billionaire in a world in ruins, because what's the point? If you're a billionaire in a world in ruins, well, then you can't visit that pizza shop you like. You can't take your date to the ball game. You can't, like, life is not going to be fun. A rising tide raises all ships. So for me right now, I'm grateful for the opportunity, because I've never done a book like this before. I've never done a business like this before. I'm grateful for the opportunity to give people an excuse to lift themselves up, because I'm, in my own small way, because we're all doing it, but in my way, in a way that I'm satisfied, I'm helping build a better world around me. So I'm most grateful for that and the feedback I get from people, because to me, I mean, anything you do in your job is worthwhile. If you fix desks like that's worthwhile. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me personally, this is the most fulfilling thing I've ever done. So I'm grateful for this opportunity that I never thought to do back when I was a struggling entrepreneur before I learned these harsh lessons.
What a beautiful answer, brother. Thanks for expounding on that. I think it's very clear with the book. It's clear how you write. It's very clear in the book that you care that the reader get results. And you talk a lot about you just have to do it. You just have to do it. You can read this and you can think about it and you can enjoy it and you can be motivated, but you have to physically do it. And you say it a lot in the book. And that's really what got me to say, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get back into it. And you even challenged us in the book a little bit like, hey, listen, I know you might not do this, but I'm telling you, you have to do this in order for it to work. And that made me say, okay, I'm going to do this. And that's when I really got into it and started engaging with it and started taking the pictures and posting and just to hold myself accountable. And it's led us here to this moment.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And one extra piece, I mean, to, spoiler alert for people that might read the book. Another piece I'm really intent on is, since I'm saying you have to do it, I'm a strategy guy. The most strategic thing you can do for yourself is find a method, whether it's in my book or anywhere else, that you enjoy enough that it's fun, that you look forward to it. Because I've said this in interviews before, I've yet to find a football fan who looks at me and goes, you mean I have to go to the Super Bowl this year? It's like, no. First of all, they're excited to deal with the airplane and sitting in the hot baking sun in the stadium all day because they get to go to the Super Bowl, meaning they're so excited. Like, the whole goal is that this becomes an enjoyable process where you look forward to it. And it's only the reason I say only 5 minutes is 2 reasons. One, because it's enough, but 2, because I understand that we're busy. And if we make it if you want to do 30 minutes, fine. But most people, they just can't do 30 minutes. They've got busy lives to go to, but anyone can do 5 minutes. So find a method that's fun, that's enjoyable, that makes you feel good, and then enthusiastically do it in the beginning of the day, the end of the day, whenever works for you. Because all it comes down to is knowing yourself, understanding your preferences, and understanding, things that you aren't for, and then choosing something that's going to fit in with that. That's going to be in congruence with who you are as a person, so that you can do this consistently.
I remember Tony Robbins had a quote where he was talking about morning rituals, and he says, if you don't have 10 minutes for yourself in the morning, if you don't have 10 minutes for yourself at any point in your day to do this, if you don't have 10 minutes, you don't have a life. And I'll say I'm a very busy person. Andrew, you're a very busy person. We're all busy. We've all got things going on, but you have 10 minutes to do this. And it's 10 minutes that can change your entire life and help you to have a more positive experience of life with more joy, more fulfillment, achieving all the things that you want to achieve. And if I had to leave you guys watching with anything, grab this book, The Last Law of Attraction book you'll ever need to read on Amazon. It was an eye-opener for me. It's what brought Andrew here to you today. And I know that you'll enjoy this book, or I wouldn't recommend it. But Andrew, where can they find and follow you? Where are you most active that they can follow you?
Yeah, well, thanks for asking. I mean, obviously the book, if you go to lastlawofattractionbook.com, that'll auto forward to the Amazon listing where it's, Kindle, paperback, audiobook for people like that like that style. If you don't want to pull out your wallet, you can go to youtube.com/AndrewCap. And I teach new methods. I'll feature Law of Attraction guests, a few other surprises. And it wasn't on display here because I'm very intent on creating value without the edit button. But I even throw in some really stupid humor in there so people can check out my great sense of humor. But also, I'm on Instagram, like Andrew Cap Insta, as you can tell, but I'm really most active just trying to do the YouTube thing. Like, if people have questions, the book has bonuses, and then like you've got my email address if you want to reach out. But for the most part, the book and the YouTube channel are where I keep the core value, because I figure if I can keep it simple and people can get value just out of that, whether they ever interact with me again, that's the whole point. So thank you for asking. That's my best advice on ways to get to me.
And one last thing I'll say, guys, is when you're reading the book, go to the links that Andrew links you to. I don't always do that for books, but with this one I did. And it brings you to other resources that can help you. It brings you to more resources that Andrew has that he just gives you. Some other ones you can dive deeper into these philosophies. So go to the links when you're reading the book. And I know it's going to help you a lot. Andrew, it was an absolute pleasure having you here, brother. Thank you for taking the time to share your wisdom and your experience and these philosophies to this audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. And, I say begin your day with gratitude or just feeling good. This feels good. The opportunity to have this conversation with you for me is a win. So, and I mean that. So thank you for inviting me on your show. And I really appreciate the intentionality of your questions, and I appreciate what you're doing for your audience here. So thank you, sir.
It's my pleasure. Everyone, the link is in the description. Grab a copy of Andrew's book. And until we talk again next time, continue to be better.